No.
Good evening. Salam alaikum for everybody. I'm your host for today's training, Vasavi Ayanan. And today's training is going to be on Thrively, which is an interactive but asynchronous tool which we can use for our students to get more engagement and for enrichment and for various other activities like interdisciplinary collaboration, etc. I will be sending you a link in the chat now. Please kindly fill this. This is on Mentimeter. This is about, okay, it should have reached you now. This is to know how far you are, what is your problem in the class for say? Is it differentiation or is it collaboration? And how has this COVID-19 affected these aspects of teaching and learning? And if you need a code, I would share the code as well here, but it's not required. You can just click the link and then go ahead. So I have sent a link and I have sent the code so you can submit your answers. And at the end of it, okay, so I'm getting a message from here. So I would like to do it once again. There is no active participation. Just give me a second. I'll send the code to you in a few minutes. But let's dive into Thrively as how it goes. Okay, so this is for every kid has a genius. So we are not just going to target, when I said enrichment, only the kids who are genius, we think. We are going to target every single student and trying to bring out the best in them. So what are the objectives of today's training? To create a class, to assign or create a playlist, to add lessons, projects, and journals to a created playlist, and advanced uses like collaboration activities, interdisciplinary activities. Let's move ahead. So this is something which I have already created. So when you first start your class, you can join even through Google. So you just have to say join, but this is how a login starts with. So you can join just through Google or if you have a Microsoft account. So the joining process, it's very simple. Once you log in, you will get to know. And once you have joined Thrively, you will get my class, my playlist, my portfolio, all these things here. So let's go with my class. I have created two classes so far. One is a whole class and one is an enrichment. So I have added only a few students in this class. We can click this drop down menu actions and say add students. And when you say add students, you get all these information. Now, let's say that you would like to add the whole class, give bulk load, and then say download the template. And once you download the template, this is the template. So it's going to ask you for username, student's first name, last name, their grade, the section. So there are various other things here about the period and all that. So I just added my division of the class. So that's easier for me because I'm adding the whole class. And this is optional. Parent email, parent first name, parent last name is optional. And I had not done it. So once you have filled this, and for MOE staff, I've used the STUM number. So that way it's easier for them. They will remember their own. So I use that as their username. And once you have done that, you can say upload your student roster. So choose the file, upload it. And once it gets uploaded here, you can say upload over here. This button will be active. And that's how you do the bulk upload of a class. So once you have done, Your class will be created like this. This is the bulk upload where I have all the 30 students of my class. Okay. The other one is also can be done the same way. For enrichment, let's say you want to add some 8 or 10 students only. So I have done something like that as well here. So one class I chose only the students whom I wanted to be there, depending upon their interests. So you can do this as well. And another way to do this is to add manually. So you can type a name of a student. Okay. The first name, last name, and create a username. Select the grade and then select which division you want them to, or you can add a new class or section and then save the student. So once you have selected the class, okay, let's say you have finished setting the class is completely set. How do you give the info to the students? You click student login info. This is the link. Copy the link, and this is this new student password. Copy the password, and you can share this through Teams, Zoom, or whichever platform you're using. Another way to do this is to print a student roster where you have all the information, their username, their password, and the login. So students have to just go ahead and do everything. But if you have some students, those who are kind of naughty, and if you think they will use more than one username, then you can, it's the safe bet is to just give the student login info through the link given here and the student password. Okay, so now you have, let's say your students have joined like this in the class. So the next step is to create a playlist. So how do we create a playlist? I already have created 2 playlists for my classes that I have added already. Manage playlist, create a new playlist. You have to give a name. Okay, we'll create a playlist now and then I'll explain it more. Now, let's say I want to collaborate with some other teacher. What am I going to do? Let's say leadership qualities. Leadership qualities. This is what I want to improve. Okay. And let's say I would like to collaborate with another teacher. So I will type as interdisciplinary, or let's say which subject I would like to coordinate with. Arabic. So, and continue. What skills will this playlist develop? So the skills you want to develop through this. So as it's an interdisciplinary activity, communication, because it says Arabic and English, writing, listening, and then duration. How many hours do you think it is going to take? You can add it as a 45-minute one or a 20 hours one. It's completely up to you. So let's say I'm going to give them for 5 hours work. Every day, maybe they work for just half an hour. And then design for whom? Students, of course. The playlist is now created. Okay, now I have to share the playlist with my students. Now, already I have some classes here. So I can say 7-1. And I can choose the students who all I want to be here. Or I can say all of 7-1 students I want here. Okay. Or let's say I would like only my 7-2 students. So all 7-2 students. They're all here. Next is to share with the teachers. So as I said, it's going to be an interactive activity. I have not basically added any of the teachers yet because I haven't decided a collaboration activity yet. But if at all, I decide in the future. So I've just added a dummy name so that it's easier for me to proceed. You just add the teacher's name and then say finish. So now you as well as the other teacher are going to collaborate and it's going to be an interdisciplinary activity. Then we say done. So now if you see the created playlist is here. Now, how to add lessons to the created playlist? We can go to the sidebar, click the lessons. There are some pre-made lessons from Thrively itself. So if you would like to choose, you can choose from these. But if you think, no, I would like to create my own, then of course you have a choice. You can go to projects, say create a new project and give a project name. I'll just give us Thrively test because that's what we are actually doing now. An overview of the project. So what are we going to do? The one we decided already in playlist, so we'll go with the same. Arabic, English. Interdisciplinary activity. So what are the objectives? We have already decided these are the skills that we are going to develop. So it's collaboration, listening, writing. Okay, so these are the same skills we are trying to develop. I mean, the objectives at the end of it, they should be able to listen and write both in English and in Arabic. Okay, or we can just give a transliteration there and then the skills. So the skills are going to be the same: listening, writing, and collaboration. And then the age range. So these are all my grade 7. So I'll give us 12 to 14. And then say, if you would like to add a project image, you can save it. Now it's done. So you can see the project that we have created here. Now we need to add activities. So click the plus button over here and add activity name. 1 second. Okay. So I'll just maximize it for the benefit of all. Okay. Now you can click and then give an activity name. Now, how am I going to, excuse me, how am I going to decide on the activity? So for that, I'll just would like to share the classes here. Let's go back to my class. Okay. If you see here, there are certain things written here. It says aspiring to be a doctor, interested in academics, aspiring to be a policeman, interested in academics, and there are so many things here. Now, and there are some icons also here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, see these things, and then this one says similar students. Okay, and this one says the journey of the student, and this is the digital portfolio of the student, and this is his strength profile. The moment you log in or the students log in, it will ask for this Thrively strength assessment. I will show that first to you. This is the strength profile of one of my students. So it says here, his strength is analytical, athleticism, flexibility, leadership, and drive. And then it also gives me what are his interests. So he has chosen so many interests. Okay, and he would like to be either a doctor or a policeman. So these are his interests. Now I know everything about the student because he's already done the test, which is pre-made and it is available in Thrively. Now I look at this and I know, okay, this is what my student wants. Now I go back to my class and then say, okay, similar students. So Ahmed Fahad Obaid and Faris Kalfan, it gives me across the classes, not just 7-2, even 7-1. So these students are from 7-1. Okay, some of them are from 7-1 and some of them are from 7-2. Now what I can do is I look at this. I can say, okay, he is having leadership, Ahmed Fahad. Here also Faris Kalfan, I say leadership, Obaid Rashid leadership. So, okay, now I decide that my project that I had created in the playlist, it's going to be based on leadership. So let's go here, say select activities. Okay, it's going to be on leadership, but it's going to be an interdisciplinary activity. Leadership. And then I will say introductory text, what they are going to say. And then I can give a link to the URL I want to add. One URL here, which is Sheikh Mohammed's leadership in Dubai. It's an old video where he talks about leadership and then the 3-finger hand gesture. he uses. So I can copy paste the link here. And then I say, do you want to add a task? Yes. So I will say here, watch this video and give your ideas on leadership. The beauty of this activity is this particular video that I have chosen. He speaks in Arabic. Okay. But then the student has to write it in English for me. So that's how I'm interlinking Arabic and English. And now let's go to the phase by phase. Do you want to organize project into phases? If I say yes, so day one, what they will do. This is what they will do on day one, because I've given 5 hours for this activity. So obviously they cannot do all the 5 hours on the same day. So then I can save this. So day one is saved. And then I say add one more activity. And then I give it for day two. So we can add more like this, and where they can reflect as well. So let's just go for this. Now here I say summarization or summary writing. Okay, and then I give the same URL. And then I tell them to again another activity where they type. So write a summary of the speech. And then I give this as day two. Save. So I have day one, I have day two. So students can do it day wise. It's clear for them. And let's say I don't want it to give it for the whole students. We discussed earlier. I had shown you how different students have different interests, and I can see similar students. So I've already selected in my mind. Let's take some students whom I will group. So I will say small groups, start. So how many do I want? So which class do I want? So I can choose from 7-1, 2 students. This is automatically done. And then say 2 students from 7-2, and then add students. But then this will be randomly created, chosen by Thrively depending on their strengths. But if you want to do manually, of course we can create another team, or up to us. So we can create a team with this is like automatically being done. So if you would like to create, I don't want this, of course we can delete it or add manually. Okay. So here we can add the documents and media for each team's project. And this is like another thing is files artifact. This is to upload the media. This is audio and this is video. So it can be done in these manner. Now I would like to show you some of the journal entries done by my students. So these are some of the journal entries my students have made. You can see like most of them are 2-3 lines, but then they're trying to write. Okay, and there are some pretty interesting answers as well. Some of them it's like they are asking me to do something. Now, how do we know that the students have completed it? We get notifications here. This is the journal entry. Whatever entries they make, you get all the answers here. Like the immediate notification comes here. And this is the activities they have done. Whatever activities they do. So one of the student has seen this one, but it was not working for him. So when you look at this, then you can think about helping the student. Or let's say, get back to the notification. Let's say here, activities. Now, if you see Obaid Rashid Ali Kalfan, he had seen something called as World of Tales. So let's click World of Tales. And then this is World of Tales. I can visit the website and I can go through whichever journal he has made entry for. And then I can give a comment for him as a teacher. And is it only useful for English teachers? No, of course not. So let me take you to the page back again, the home page. Okay. if you see, there are so many things here. This is called as sparks. So I have saved only few sparks related to English. And if you're a math teacher, if you're a science teacher, you have so many here. You can see STEM, English language arts, social studies, and coding for design and technology teachers. So there are so many things here which the students can do. So I will just share some of the works done by my students here with you. So this is a postcard. This is to the story writing activity spark that I had saved for them. So it's just 2-3 lines, but then that's a start for me because they were not interested earlier to write. Boys usually like to speak. They don't like writing much. So this is one created by one of the students, and this is by another student. So he felt like happy because he's writing. Is like a newspaper. They can choose their own format of writing. And these are the journal entries. So he says here, I read an Indian fairy tale, and he has given the words he had learned. So, and I had commented about it, and I was happy that he had used it. So I'd asked him to narrate the story in the class the next day. Okay, and this was a tongue twister activity given for another class. So this tongue twister, I think he had taken it from internet. So I'd asked him to try a new one. And I also asked him to remember the punctuation rules as an English teacher. So this is one way of, creating interest in students and asking them to do. They can do it in various subjects. And we can, again, as I said, interlink. So let's say it says STEM here, right? So I can check here for activities that involves English and math or English and science, and then have an interdisciplinary activity. And I can also ask them to collaborate. And okay, we can also create journals. So I had created one journal separately for my class where they are giving me the tongue twisters, which is the speaking project for grade 7 now. If you don't want to do that, you can just create a playlist, which is the easiest one, and add lessons here. And the other options of here, I'll just show you. In this drop down, if you see, you have print strength certificates. So let me say select all and then print. It will give me all the certificates of my class with each student's name. Now we can directly share this with parents. We can say invite parent and then add parents' email ID and then invite them. So they will be able to see their students' progress. And when I added 7-1, I added the whole class. And I kind of hit a snag because some of them didn't do, some of them did. And if you see, the scores are pretty less in this class. So I started a class again with enrichment activity. So if you see in this class, the scores are pretty high because each of them started to compete. So if you feel, okay, the class is, not going good, I would like to make some modifications, you can do that. Okay, so you can click a student. I added the specific student just to remove. So you go here, say manage classes, and then say, okay, he's in this class currently, select and then say remove, save changes. So that student will be removed. Or if you want to add a student, that is also easy. So you just go there and then add a single student to this class. And the class stats gives you how many of them completed the assignments and how many of them are still doing. So in my class I have 6, 4 of them have completed and two of their assignments are still pending. So these are some of the easiest way to work with Thrively, and this helps us to collaborate more. So if any of you have any doubts, Any doubts from anybody, or have you tried? Actually, the doubt starts coming once you start using it. That's what happened. In case you get doubts and you're wondering how am I going to go with this, you can request a demo for every single thing. Okay, you have a video for it. And I would like to share my digital portfolio here, because it helps us in keeping track of the students as well as the agenda, what we would like to try to achieve. So these are the goals I have created here. And if you see, it says in progress, in progress, in progress. Okay, and I'm planning to achieve it by November 22nd. So within that, I should achieve. That's my plan. And these are some of the badges that I have awarded my students. And this is the highlight of my work. Like, okay, so far this has happened. So I'm just making a highlight so I would know what's happening. So these are the goals. So here, if you check, here it says browse goals or create a goal. If you browse goals, there are pre-made goals which you can check. And then based on your goals, you can add activities. And why is it important to create a goal? So that you will help your students. Your goal is basically what your students need to achieve. For example, I want my students to be creative innovators. So that's my goal as well. I would like to create more creative innovators, or I would like to create students with growth mindset or productive collaborators. So these are my goals. So all my activities are based on these goals. And then Thrively helps us to keep a track of what's happening. That's what we saw in the digital portfolio here. One second. Okay, that's what we saw here, because it says, I'm progressing. And then if you look at the highlight, it would say partially completed. It means it's not completely done because some of my students have not yet completed their work. So once they complete, it means that I have achieved my goals. So I can move ahead with the other goals. And there is something called as pathway, which right now I am not looking at. I'll just show you why. For example, if a student has taken, I'll just choose one student. Okay, this student has chosen as policeman, and here he wants to be a policeman. And this one says to be a doctor. If you say this is basically a US site, and even non-US schools can use. So if it's a policeman, most of the pathways are going to talk about people outside UAE. But if it's a doctor, then yeah, of course, or a robotics engineer, of course, the pathways are useful because the lessons are more or less the same. A doctor is a doctor, whichever country you go, right? So, but these things slightly differ. The policeman and all those things slightly differ, or law or banking, these kind of jobs slightly differ. And why is this important for students to select? Because once they select this, okay, they will get more inputs and more lessons based on this particular activities. Now you look at this student, he says resilience. These are his top strengths. Now I can work on these strengths and help them to improve whatever they are doing, their projects, their assessments, and I can link them with other students as I had shown you earlier. So if anyone has any doubts, you can go ahead and ask me. I can see some messages in the chat. Anybody can use Thrively, not just school teachers. Parents, educators, students themselves can use. What I'm currently using is a free version. I'm not paying, I'm not going for a pro version, mainly because, not because that this is not that useful, it's because that if I pay, then I'll be using more of this. I wouldn't concentrate on other apps. I don't want to get stuck with one single app. That's the reason. Yes, somebody has raised their hand. Yes, Mr. Mukint.
Hi, Miss Vasavi.
Yes, please. Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much. We understood like the way how you have explained, and as you said, yes, the more we use, we'll get more doubts and we'll clarify it and we'll go ahead. And my only question right now is, we also have Google Classroom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the features, like what you have is also been there. Can you tell us the difference between using a Google Classroom and what is the difference when we use this Thrively?
Okay. See, Google Classroom, Teams, or Zoom. Okay, these are all different platforms for you to have a synchronous lesson. And in Google Classroom, you can add activities and all that. You're right. But the main thing is about this one. So this is my strength, the strength profile of my student. So if you see this, I have assertiveness. So this student is assertive. So I know as a teacher, you have two options when you try to develop the strength of your student. One is to improve the strength already a student has, or to make them develop another strength. So there are two things to do. Now let's take this student has assertiveness, okay, or leadership or resilience. Let me take here and then say activities that build on this strength. So I will look at any activities that are, or let's take analytical. There are no activities already built in. So what I can do is I can create an activity and add it for the student. This gives me a clear-cut idea of the strengths of the student. Or let's go back to another student. Just a minute. Okay. Now I look at the strength and strength profile of another student. It says flexibility, but there is no leadership quality for this student. But then he seems to be fun-loving, appreciation, flexibility. One of the qualities of leadership is definitely appreciation. You need to start appreciating others. So what I can do is I can look at this strength and then I can decide on building another strength, which is leadership quality. So I can start building activities based on this. So this is the main difference between Google Classroom and this one. There you just add activities, but then you need to really study the student. And also another thing is, as I showed you, collaboration and interdisciplinary activity. You can add a number of teachers. I just shown you one because I had not actually started involving the teachers in the class. So if I want, I can add. I just added one person. So now what I can do is actions, add faculty, and I can add my whole class, the whole set of teachers, those who teach grade 7. Or I can even link with another teacher, another faculty, or maybe they are taking higher secondary. You have a simple lesson in maybe in a grade 8 or grade 9 class, and then you would like the help of grade 12 teacher. Can be done. So these are some of the features of Thrively. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
And I was telling, I would like to add just one more thing before I go to the presentation there. So if you see here, it says here, Master of Diplomacy. For me, this is my strength profile. Even the teachers can do it. So when I did it, it says Master of Diplomacy. I never knew that I could be that diplomatic because I've been believing in only straightforward speaking. So I never knew that this was my strength. And if you see some of the journal entries of my students, they say the same. They're like, I'm happy to know that this is my strength. Okay, so this is a strength profile. Okay, he says, I'm happy to know that I have these strengths and I will try to improve. And then one says, so these are all from other activities. That's why I'm not showing much of these as we are discussing about strengths. Okay, so one says to me that he would like to write more because his strength is verbal. He has just discovered that one of his strength is verbal. So he would like to write more and he's asking my help. So I'd given a star for him. It means that I'll be helping him. So it goes on like this. So they reflect on their strength, the student self-awareness.